Indian name, bag tied in the middle. It's wide up here, it's wide in Lakewood End, and Bemis and Stowaway, the bridge and ferry run, it's narrow. An old Indian name for bag tied in the middle. Does anybody ice fish? Ooh, uh-oh. Well, see, ice fishing is God's way of getting rid of idiots. I mean, stop and think about it. Why go out there and sit on ice, build a fire in a hut, ice melts, when you can go to the store and buy what you want? I don't know. This is a barely, isn't it? Yeah. Have they? In other words, they're not going to do any ice castle this year, unless they get in somebody's refrigerator. Is that what they're going to do? Well, next weekend's the sleigh rally up here at Chautauqua Institute, next Sunday. A little bit of everything happened. No, they bring a lot of horses in. Big horses, little horses. They do one thing that they do is neat. It's a competition for people to get their horses out and work them in the winter. But one of the neat things they do, what they call the Courier Knives ride. Everybody hooks up to a sleigh or whatever, and they go through the institute. And I mean, you've got people going through with horses, sleighs that are ancient, antique sleighs, people dressed up in their raccoon coats and the whole nine. I mean, it's just like they fit in the institute, It's really kind of a neat thing to watch. We're coming up on the big yellow building behind me is the Hotel Athenaeum. That's the largest wooden structured hotel east of Mississippi. It's the first one with electric lights, thanks to Thomas Edison. It's where Bill Clinton stayed when he was here. Hillary didn't declare who is, so we're not going to ask, Now, you see the size of that. How long do you think it took them to build that? Now, they built that like in 1874, 76, something like that. 90 days, 90 working days. Now, there's no cranes, there's no this, no that. That's all manual hard labor. But if you've ever been around and watched the Amish raise a barn, you'll understand why they did that in 90 days. Thomas Edison was a son-in-law, the co-founder, which was Miller. Miller is over Miller Bell Tower. That's who that's named after. But Thomas Edison wanted to meet Miller because they were both inventors. Thomas Edison meets him, meets his daughter. He falls in love with his daughter. He takes Thomas Edison's daughter out on Lake Chautauqua, and it was either Lake Chautauqua or a lake in Florida, but I think it was Lake Chautauqua. Took her hand and tapped in her hand, "Will you marry me?" in Morse code, and she tapped back yes. That was a $250,000 question on Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. I called home one night. I drive truck for a living. I was gone. The daughter says, "Dad, you could have won $250,000, I says, "Yeah, but I had to get that far first. I couldn't answer all them other questions." More than likely dog. Maybe not. Might be deer. But I've never seen deer tracked. I'm not saying there isn't. But a lot of people come up winter and they walk their dogs and, These condominium, pardon? Oh, yeah. Yeah. But gated, and I don't know, they've got to basically come in the gate, and I'm not saying that they wouldn't be in here. These behind us, the condominiums, they're all brand new. But see the way they're built, they look like they were built in 1900. But that's kind of a code that they've got now. They laxed it for a few years, and it costs pretty good dollar if you want a condominium here. Location, location, location. Huh? No, I don't think so. That was Union that put them up. Heck, I didn't put them up 90 days. Now between us and Miller Bell Tower here on the right-hand side, us on the lake, you see this rolling here? That's Palestine Park. That's an exact replica of the Holy Lands. And that was made right after the Institute was open. No bulldozers, no lasers, no nothing. And they say it is real, real, real close. One guy that used to give rides up here, he's passed away now too, and he says you catch it in the summer just right, you can smell a Dead Sea too.
This red and white house here is known as the Studebaker house. It used to be owned by the family that made the Studebaker Lark cars. Next to that is what they call Mr. Rogers' house. And the one with the tarp on, that's the Chautauqua Lake Women's Club's house. Behind it, the big yellow building, that's the Hotel Athenaeum. The largest wooden structure this side of the Mississippi. First one to have electric lights. And they're looking for volunteers to work on the top of that scaffold Monday morning.
Monday morning.
Let's come right here. Comes all the way from behind there, all the way across. And that's yeah. It's just open in the summer. The green and white house over here on the side hill, the dark green one with the white porches, that's owned by the ladies' head basketball coach from Stanford.
Oh, really?
She has a room in there for every member of her family. 3 years ago, 3 or 4 years ago now, that used to be a 2-story house. They jacked it straight up, put another floor underneath it, and set it back down. Her parents. She took over from her parents. It was her parents' place, and she took it over.
Oh, wow. How about the place above it?
I don't know anything about that one. I guess just a... This is a sportsman's club right here. They offer shuffleboard and bowling on the green in the summertime. The red and white candy striped tarp over here is where the Baker Hotel used to stand. The Baker was the oldest one here. It was condemned and torn down, and they rebuilt it back as a new condo.
That's pretty.
It's a little higher than it used to be because then they had quite a fight over blocking somebody's visibility to the lake. Yeah. This pile of rocks right here, this is Mount Sinai. This is known as Palestine Park. Every hill over there has a little green marker for every city in Palestine, and they have a tour through there in the summertime. Beyond Palestine Park, that's Miller Bell Tower. The clock chimes every quarter, half, 3/4, and chimes on the hour. This little park behind me is known as Miller Park. This is where all their tent meetings originally started at. One of the 2 places the institution will never have a building put on it. Whoa. See this brown house? Yeah. A year ago, this didn't have a basement. Whoa! Didn't have a basement under it. And they jacked it all up and put that basement under it and set it back down. When you get back home to Erie, just remember how close these 2 neighbors are right here. Straight ahead of us, the gray house and the green tarp. That's the Thomas Edison house. That's where Edison stayed when he was here in Chautauqua. And why did Edison come to Chautauqua? Everybody says to bring electric lights. Well, he had a light, but it wasn't anything rad. He came here to marry Mr. Miller's daughter, who was the founder of Chautauqua.
Miller, when he first came here, like I say, it was around the 1870s, something like that. And he found a beautiful place, it's right along the lake there. Of course, there's no homes, no nothing in here. He writes his good friend and he says, "You've got to come vacation with me next year where I found." And his friend did. It was Ulysses S. Grant. The history that's in this place is just phenomenal, I always said a Hotel Athenaeum to go in there to eat, and they've changed this, but it used to be the men had to wear ties, women had to wear dresses, and you couldn't get alcoholic beverages any place on the